Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and this is part 5 of the making of the 300 diorama. And I'm starting to get close to finished with this diorama. I've done another coat of terrain base materials. I've done some touch-up and some touch-up paint. And it looks terrific. It looks coming out really good. And now I wanted to show you adding the rough terrain features, the bigger terrain features like trees and bushes and stuff like that. One of the first techniques that I used here is the method of making weeds. And what I do is I take some material and I cut that. I cut it off and then I apply a dab of glue and then I press that down like that. So what that does is, and I'll show you here, is it makes weeds. You can see the weeds sticking out. And I've also applied the large clumps you see there. I've applied them in other areas too. See, like that, in different spots. I got some weeds down here where the water is going to be. And right now you can see the glue, but that will dry and disappear. So I've added the rough foliage, like shrub. And now I'm going to add some trees. Although this diorama doesn't call for a whole lot of trees because of the terrain, I'm going to put a few trees in just to show you. And the technique I use for trees is, with woodland scenic materials, I use hobby tack. I apply hobby tack to the tree armature, and then I dip that in a bag of foliage and see how that'll come out like that. But you keep dipping it, you dip it some more, and you dip it in different colors to get some good variation on the foliage. And I'm not using this large tree. But the hobby tack is a little tricky. You have to realize that you put the hobby tack on the tree armature, then you let it sit for a good 15-20 minutes so that it gets really tacky, and then you can dip it in the material to get the foliage. And here's some trees I did here. So I'll touch these up, I'll add some more foliage, do some spot touch-up, and then I'll apply these to the diorama. And one more thing I wanted to show you is this particular diorama has cliffs, so I've made some very small trees like this. So that's the kind of tree you see that will be sticking out of the cliff, just hanging on with just a little bit of foliage. It gives a nice touch. So what you do is, when you're doing a tree, is you punch a hole in the surface of your diorama, wherever you want the tree to go, fill it with glue, give it a few minutes to get really tacky, and then you stick the tree armature right in there, and it should hold really well. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add some trees and some more foliage to this, and I'll show you what it looks like. And at that stage, it'll be just about done with the terrain. Okay, I'm just about done with the 300 diorama, and I wanted you to take a look at it. I've done a lot of the detail work, and I'm going to do a little bit more detail work, but I got the trees in and the shrubbery, and I've put some of the Spartans in the gap, in the Thermopylae gap, so you can take a look at that, get an idea of the scale. So this is just about completed with as far as terrain goes. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint up the miniatures, do a little bit more detail work, and then I have to add the lights, and you can see the wires there, and the sound effects. So the next video I'll do, you can consider this to be the last video of the tutorial, but the next video I'll do is I'll show you all of the various effects when it's completely done. So stay tuned for that. Thanks.